Hello everyone, back to today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days with today's second video, which is going to take us to around the 12th of April, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that actually with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, which run to around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFSV2 for the next month at the end of the video as usual. The 5-day forecast has been released, rather a wintry flavour to the 5-day forecast this week. There's going to be certainly start off with some snow around, but particularly over high ground, but not exclusively so. Possibly some coming down to lower levels up in the north. So have a look at the 5-day forecast, see what's going on. We'll pick up the storyline beyond the 5-day forecast period for today's second video update. Going to start off with Central England temperature. So we confirmed this yesterday, or we said about this yesterday, but we can confirm it today that the CT for March is in, and it's coming out at 7.8. So very mild March in the Central England region. Anyway, I have to say it didn't really feel that mild, particularly the first half of the month with all those strong winds. But anyway, it comes out at 7.8, an anomaly of 2.1 degrees above average to go along with the very mild February that we had, 6.7, which was 3 degrees below average. So this is now turning into a very warm year once again, despite the fact that January came out very close to, or in terms of the 81 to 2010 average, a little bit cold average. April, for the very first day, is sitting at 8.1. That's an anomaly of 1.2 degrees above average. I suspect we're going to see that edging down over the next few days. So in around sort of 3 or 4 days' time, that will possibly be a bit colder than average, but then it might start to get a bit of a boost over the weekend and into next week. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart is looking like this. So we're currently going negative with the AO once again. We've been in a positive phase of the Arctic oscillation going back into February. The black line tells where I've been with the Arctic oscillation, of course. Red lines at the end, where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So we've been in a positive phase of the Arctic oscillation since early February. We're still positive with the Arctic oscillation right now, but it's downhill away from here as you go through the course of the first week of April and second week of April. Quite clearly, the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go back into a negative phase back where it was through sort of January in particular. So this is telling us we're going to have high pressure coming back in the northern latitudes. We are going to be seeing that high pressure blocking as we get through to the weekend and into next week. The only thing is we've lost the legacy of cold air that we would have had if this had happened, say, a month or two ago. So despite that, we're going to have extensive northern blocking and easterly winds over weekend and into next week. It's not going to be particularly cold, although depending on the exact origins of the air, it might be chilly. North Atlantic oscillation observed and forecast is looking like this. So again, black line shows that we are positive with the North Atlantic oscillation at the moment, as we have been going right way back to the start of December, really. GFS ensembles are forecasting a downwards trend going into negative territory, certainly by the time you get through to the middle part of April. It looks like the NAO is trending negative. So we've got two indexes seemingly going into negativity, the AO and the NAO, which if it was winter would have been a signal for cold weather. But of course in April it's probably just going to signal sort of coolish conditions, maybe easterly winds, possibly northerly winds, which in April can still be quite cold depending on the source of the air. But if the wind is from the east, generally it's not going to be overly cold in April. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles, looking at Northampton today. So red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Northampton. Incidentally, if you'd like to see your local town or city featured in this section of the video, do let me know through the comments or give us an email to garrettsweathers@gmail.com or whatnot. And we're always happy to feature your local town or city in the video when we get the opportunity. So we're starting off pretty cold at the moment. Temperatures are below average. They're gradually going to start to trend up. So by the time we get through to the weekend, it looks like it's going to be milder as the wind swings into the east. But then next week may go a bit cooler again through the early part of the week. This, heading up towards the middle part of April, though, this period just here, it looks as though the trend is generally upwards with those upper air temperatures. Although there are quite a few quite cold outliers, these ones just here. But I'm not sure they're going to verify. I think generally it looks as though the trend is going milder through the second week of April. Looking a bit more unsettled than we have seen on these charts a little while as well. So just fairly regular precipitation spikes. Remember, this is for Northampton, so it's going to be quite well sheltered from the Atlantic. Although it's not particularly well sheltered from the North Sea. So if the winds are in from the east and we're bringing in cloud and showers off the North Sea, then that, of course, would make things more unsettled. So that's possibly accounting for those precipitation spikes. That does actually look quite unsettled now for the first half of April. That's in contrast to what we saw just a day or two ago, when the first half of April was looking relatively dry. Temperature anomalies from the 3rd to the 11th of April, below average, so another cold and average week coming up from the 3rd to the 11th, not just for the UK and Ireland, but for most parts of Western Europe too. The warmth is over in the east and the southeast of Europe. Precipitation anomalies average to slightly above average, perhaps. So, again, it's more unsettled, certainly, than what we had back in March. It doesn't look overly wet yet, but certainly it's going to be quite cool, maybe at times a little bit on the cold side, and also quite unset as well. This is how the GFS is looking for Saturday, then GFS operational run. High pressure's blocking from Scandinavia to Greenland. This big ridge of high pressure is sitting to the north and northeast of the country. We've got a long fetch easterly wind coming all the way in from the Urals. The only thing is we haven't really got any particularly cold air now. That's all gone. Although I suppose it will be chilly, especially so on the east coast. Moving into next week, we're going to bring a trough of low pressure in from off the North Sea. That particularly affects England and Wales. Possibly brings quite a wet start to next week with heavy showers, maybe even some longer spells of rain too. Look at all this high pressure to the north. That's the reason that the NAO and the AO is being forced down into negative territory. It's this high pressure sitting up here from Scandinavia over towards Greenland. Very extensive northern blocking. As we move through into the middle and second half of next week, the GFS shifts the wind around to the south or southeast. That will start to bring milder air up from the south if it comes off. Heading up towards day 10, we've got low pressure out to the west with showers and longer spells of rain. Temperatures are becoming milder too. That is the chart for day 10, which is Saturday the 13th of April, and it does generally look quite mild, but maybe fairly showery, especially in the west, with these areas of low pressure possibly throwing in rain bands into the west. Through to the extended range, and high pressure takes over across Scandinavia again, pulling in the wind from the east and southeast as we head up towards the middle part of April before low pressure starts to push in from the Atlantic. So a bit of a duel going on here through the middle part of April between high pressure up to the northeast, wanting to maintain those easy winds, and low pressure trying to bring bands of rain in from off the Atlantic. Quite where that goes, it very much in the extended range, so quite where that goes, we'll have to wait and see till closer to the time frame. Excuse me, GFS parallel run. Again, we've got those easterly winds across the country through the weekend, lasting to next week as well. And in course of next week, we just maintain those easterly winds, possibly bring showers into the east. By the time we get through to day 10, high pressure still blocking very much so to the north of the country. Low pressure's out to the south and southwest. We're trying to bring low pressure in off the Atlantic. But actually looks a little bit colder, I think, with that east-southeast wind there at day 10, Saturday the 13th of April. That's possibly a little bit colder. And we've got this low pressure heading in across the south. On the northern edge of that, wouldn't rule out the chance of some hill snow in the north. But eventually, the parallel run does turn things much milder through the extended range. Builds up this ridge to the south and east of the country, low pressure out to west, and that starts to bring up much milder, in fact even warmer, you would say warmer southerly winds. That could well lift temperatures into the low 20s Celsius there by the time you get through to Friday 19th of April. All change to near summer-like conditions. That's a really long way off though, again, that's 2 weeks away. ECMWF, and got the low pressure out to the southwest on Saturday. That's taking the rain away from us. It's turning drier from the east with those easterly winds. Into next week, again, we keep these easterly winds going across the country. There could be showers out to the west and the southwest of the country too. Moving up towards day 10, the high pressure is retrogressing to Greenland, and we're moving low pressure up from the south. So it's becoming colder, and as this low pressure comes up from the south, we are actually pulling in some north to northeast winds. That's a colder wind direction, and we do see that the upper air temperatures are actually going quite cold across most parts of the country there. That will probably be cold enough for snow, even to low levels across some central parts of the country. Although it's the middle of April, that certainly looks a lot colder than anything the GFS is coming up with at the moment. But I would suspect that's probably a bit of a cold outlier. These are the scenarios that are on the table within the ECM ensembles for day 10. This is via the Icelandic Met Office. This is for the 13th of April. So we've got 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles, which is 100%, including the control and operational ECM runs that have high pressure centred over Greenland. So we do retrogress the high pressure from Scandinavia to Greenland with these ECM ensemble members. Low pressure is underneath it, and we're pulling in cold north to northeast winds. So actually, although I thought that GFS ECM operation run was possibly an outlier at day 10, it does look as though it's quite well supported actually by the ECM ensembles, by its ensemble. So it could be that things are going to get a bit colder, a little bit more wintry in fact, as we go towards the middle of April. By the time we get through to 2 weeks away though, quite a few options on the table then. This is for the 18th of April, 360 hours away. And by then, it looks like we're trying to warm things up. So we've got 15 members of the ECM ensembles that have high pressure by then, centred to our south across France and Biscay, obviously pulling in much milder southwesterly winds. And then another 15 with high pressure to the south, low pressure in the Atlantic. They're bringing in milder Atlantic winds as well. A further 15 have the high pressure towards Greenland and low pressure over Scandinavia. They're bringing down cold and northerly winds. And then 6 that have high pressure centred over Scandinavia, they're bringing in easterly winds. But if we combine the 15 that we've got just there with the 15 that are just here, that gets us to 30 members of the ECM ensembles, and in 2 weeks' time we're trying to turn things milder. So it may be that things get a bit cold again around the middle of April. Before then, we go into proper spring-like conditions in the second half of the week, in the second half of the month. We should wait and see about that. Finally, just have a look at CFS-V2. These are the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly pairs. The first weekly pair will take us from the 3rd through to the 9th of April. The coming week has above average heights up to the northeast, below average heights to west-southwest, and we're bringing these winds from a east to southeasterly direction. Increasingly, the high pressure over Scandinavia is taking over in the week ahead. Week 2 looks like that. It's a 10th to the 16th of April. The high pressure over Scandinavia is dominating. Low pressure's out to west-southwest of us. The winds are coming in from an east to southeasterly direction. Most unsettled conditions there are to the southwest, but driest conditions are to the northeast. Then we go through to week 3. This is the 17th to 23rd of April, with high pressure rain sitting over and to the east of the country. Low pressure is in the Atlantic. That's drier and warmer there as we're going into the second half of April, possibly in line with the ECM ensembles. And that continues into week 4. The 24th to the 30th of April has a ridge of above average height centred over top of the UK, so probably relatively dry and quite warm to end the month. It looks like a month of 2 halves with the CFS, if that's right. So the first half is quite cool and unsettled. The second half is a lot drier and probably a lot warmer as well. But of course, these are experimental charts. They are prone to chopping and changing. In the more reliable time frame, which is the next week to 10 days, we've got this blocking area of high pressure setting up over the weekend. So for now, it's cold and showery. We're going to turn drier over the weekend and a little bit less cold. Then next week you have those easterly winds maintained, although they might start off quite mild and maybe with some showery rain early next week. They could get a bit colder as we head up towards the middle part of April, and then possibly going into proper spring just after mid-month. We shall see about that. Right, that's it for your videos today. Tomorrow we'll have your week to 10 day video update as usual, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.